First question of the day
Oh,
comes
no.
from John Knight Linux over on Twitter. John says Linux still works on a 486, right? For those of you who missed it, a couple of years ago, 386 support was dropped from the Linux
Right.
kernel, and exactly 3 people, myself being one of them, objected to this. John continues, I believe Debian removed package support, but it's still technically possible, eh? And is there a distro out there for machines like the 486? So I did a little digging. Because I haven't actually tried to put a modern Linux on a 486 in a decade or more. It's technically possible. There are, to my knowledge, no modern distributions that support the 486. But if you go with a source level distribution like a Gentoo, you can compile it yourself. There's a caveat here. Technically, that should work. There's no guarantee that a lot of the additional applications will work because some of them might require like MMX instruction sets or whatnot, like from the Pentium 2s and whatnot. But I mean, Debian requires a Pentium 2. Like you need a Pentium 2 in order to run Debian, right? They nixed the old what's it called? The old 586 class processors.
Right.
Debian killed those off a couple of years back. So really your only shot here is grab Gentoo and don't compile it on the 486. Otherwise, you will be waiting for it to compile for a very long time because the Linux kernel itself is like infinitely bigger than it was during the 486 days. And during the 486 days, a Linux build took a while. It was not peppy, and it is so many bajillion lines of code. It's bigger now that I couldn't even guess. Maybe a couple days for just the kernel compile.
Possibly a week.
It could be. It's going to be long. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to look up instructions for this. These are out there somewhere, but basically you can build your kernel and all of your big packages elsewhere targeted for the 486 instruction set. There's instructions. Look up Gentoo on a 486 and you'll find stuff. It's not going to be a lot. You're not going to find great instructions because there's only like 3.5 human beings that have ever worried about this in the last few years. But I think it's a worthy goal. And what I want to see is how fast does it boot on a 486 modern Linux? I remember old Linux on a 486 and it was totally usable, but modern Linux with how big it is, and like I'm talking modern Linux into a desktop environment,
right?
Like into, let's say, Mate or XFCE or one of the lighter weight ones.
Even compiled at some level, you're still going to have the issue of it's still got that modern bloat at some level.
And how many 486s do you know with, a couple gigs of RAM? Right? You're just
megs, you say?
Yeah, right. I mean, having a 486 with 32 or 64 megs of RAM is not unreasonable. But
64 is pretty screaming,
right, but more than like 32 or 64, and you're kind of getting into the that's just not going to happen category. I think that's going to be a bigger bottleneck. Once you get it compiled on a Pentium 2 or higher, then you're going to move it over to your 486. It's going to be a long, slow, arduous process, but once it's done, I want video. I want pictures of that booting up into, I don't know, like this little GDM login screen and everything on a 486. I want it to be one of those old like compact 486s or something, or a Hewlett Packard or a Packard Bell. Anything with Packard in it and make me happy. That would just thrill me.
And if they do it in a video, do it with that Jeopardy wait music, because
how many times you'd have to repeat that song over and over.
It's fine, put it in your startup processes. You're bloated anyway. Who cares?
Like 17 hours of the Jeopardy theme song playing. I'm sure
you're ready to like attack poor Alex there, but whatever. It's unfortunate, but it's what it is. You just kind of grow into it.
But I think it's a worthwhile endeavor. I think it'd be interesting to see how slow the fastest of the modern software runs on a 486 with like 32 megs of RAM. I would love to
agree
see
with
that.
you. I mean, it makes total sense to me. I mean, how would I not want to do this?
Oh, please, someone please do it, because I don't want to do it. I want to see it happen. I want to touch it. I want to see what it feels like. But yeah, no, oh man, John Knight Linux, you are asking for a world of hurt, and I applaud you for it. I think you're a better man than any of the two of us for simply considering this. Man, you are strong. Your manliness is confirmed.
Respect.
You know what? If you pull that off, you are the uber Gentoo user at that point. No Gentoo user is going to have nothing on John Knight Linux. If he gets it running on a 486, no matter what, someone comes along, they'll be like, I got it working on a toaster. Be like, the heck with you, I got it working on a 486. Everyone was like, dang, son. Seriously, it's going to be huge.
It's like instant Gandalf beard. Poof. Right?
So true. It's going to be hardcore. I just want to see this happen. Someone please do this. Please do this. Take pictures. I would honestly, I would love to see the oldest hardware you have running current Linux. This goes to everybody. If you've got old hardware, pre-Pentium, none of this Pentium nonsense, pre-Pentium, running modern Linux distributions like nowadays in 2019. Right. You know, if you have a picture from last year, I'll take it. But I want modern stuff. I want to see how old it can get, and bonus points if it's got a really old brand logo on it. Oh, that just sounds exciting to me. I want that to happen. Linux is rad. All right, next